Okay, today we need to talk about something really serious. It's about a violent extremist group. But here's the thing, they're not hiding out on the dark web. They're operating on the same apps and games our kids are using every single day. So, what exactly is the 764 Network? Well, it's officially classified as a violent extremist organization. But its goals aren't political at all. It's all about sadistic control. What we're looking at is a decentralized global network that has one main target: minors. They use this absolutely horrifying playbook of sextortion, grooming, and coercion to force victims into self-harm and the creation of what's called child sexual abuse material, or CSAM for short. So you might be wondering, where are they finding these victims? And this is the really scary part. It's not on some obscure hidden forums. We're talking about the most popular platforms out there. Apps like Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, even a game like Roblox. This threat is right there in the exact same digital spaces where teens are just trying to socialize and build communities. So how in the world do they manage to turn these incredibly public platforms into their own private hunting grounds? Well, it all comes down to a really sophisticated and, frankly, predatory set of psychological manipulation tactics. Let's break down exactly how they trap their victims.
Their process is just chillingly methodical. It all starts with predators posing as peers. Just another kid online, right? They build trusts, maybe over a shared interest in a game or something. Once that bond is there, they pivot. They move into grooming and sextortion, pressuring victims to send explicit material, and once they have that material, boom, it becomes a weapon. It's used for blackmail, and that creates this awful cycle of control. Then it escalates to the final, horrifying step: coercing victims into acts of self-harm or abuse, a lot of the time in live stream sessions for other members to watch. And this group is absolutely surgical in who they target. They're not just casting a wide net. They actively look for teenagers who are already vulnerable. Kids who might be struggling with depression or body image issues, or maybe they're being bullied at school. They exploit these exact vulnerabilities, offering this false sense of community before they start the cycle of abuse. And of course, this kind of online manipulation doesn't just stay online. It has devastating consequences that spill right over into the real world. So let's talk about the very real, very human cost of all this. And make no mistake, we are not just talking about digital harm here. The coercion leads directly to real-world consequences. We're talking about severe psychological trauma, lasting physical injuries, and in the most tragic cases, hospitalization and even death. The scale of this is just staggering. Organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they've documented thousands of related reports. That really highlights just how widespread this damage has become. And this is what makes the 764 network such a nightmare for law enforcement. See, it's not just one thing. It's a hybrid threat. It combines the leaderless, decentralized structure of a modern extremist group with the predatory tactics of a criminal child exploitation ring. It just completely blurs the lines for investigators and makes the group incredibly hard to take down with traditional methods. But that absolutely does not mean they aren't trying. To really get a sense of the scale of the official response, just look at this one number: 250. The FBI has over 250 active investigations linked directly to the 764 network. This is not some fringe issue. This is a massive federal law enforcement priority. Okay, so with that level of focus from the FBI and others, it's no surprise that a huge global effort is now underway to strike back, to try and dismantle this network piece by piece. And you know what? We are seeing results. Just look at this timeline. It shows just how critical the last few months have been. Back in April 2025, some key leaders were arrested. Then, the very next month, the FBI launched Operation Restore Justice, which is this huge nationwide initiative. And by October, we saw major arrests: a 21-year-old in Arizona and a 19-year-old in California, both facing a laundry list of really serious charges. But here's the catch. While these arrests are huge victories, for sure, the fight is far from over. The network has this decentralized, Hydra-like structure. You cut off one head and two more grow back. When one cell gets taken down, others can just pop up or splinter off from the main group. It makes it an incredibly resilient and adaptive threat that you can't defeat just by arresting a few leaders. So, because it's so resilient, the response has to come from all sides. It has to be multi-pronged. We're not just talking about the Department of Justice and the FBI here.
It involves international cooperation, with organizations like the Anti-Defamation League providing crucial analysis. And believe it or not, the response even includes hacktivist groups like Anonymous, who've launched their own operations to expose members and help the official investigations. So when you put it all together, what you have is a picture of a really dangerous, constantly evolving threat. So what does this mean for us? What are the key things you need to know to help stay safe online? Okay, this is probably the most important part. You need to know where to turn for help. If you or someone you know might be a victim, or even if you just see suspicious activity online, please do not hesitate. Contact the experts. Call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children or report it directly to the FBI. These organizations are on the front lines and they are equipped to help. You know, when you really look at it, the 764 network is a terrifying example of how online threats are changing. They're becoming more decentralized, more adaptive, and they're woven into the fabric of our daily digital lives. And that really leaves us with a critical question to think about. As these dangers continue to evolve, how do our own strategies for education, for prevention, and for safety, how do we evolve to keep up?